Hey everybody, it's Texas Stroker Airlines, the Performance Shop, LoneStarMopars.com. Sunday evening, it is about 8 o'clock. It's 104 outside, about 94 in here. The noise you hear is a fan, sorry, not sorry. Now, before we get started, of course, I'm rocking the Alpha Glove still nearly a year at this point in time, still holding up wonderful. My red ones are absolutely filthy, that's why I'm not currently wearing them, the ones with the impact strips, right? And then I took the really fancy goatskin impact ones to work, and they're also filthy, but they have not failed me yet, so pretty exciting there. I'll eventually update you on how those have held up. Now, what we have here is KC Tool Haul 41. This was prompted by two things. Number one, Wiha's big deal, and number two, that tying in with a tool of the day. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into that. And what was that item that was tool of the day? It was right here. And this, if these look familiar, that's because we recently, right when they came available, not on the big deal, but just became available, we picked up these. This is Wiha's, latest and greatest in terms of standard L-Keys, Hex Keys, if you will. This is SAE, so it's got way more, I think 13 pieces, 3/8 all the way down to 0.050, and I absolutely love them. A lot of you complain about the Vera sleeves wearing off, right? That's sort of where I wanted to go with these. Obviously, again, most of what I do, particularly with hex-based fasteners, whether it's like carburetor, throttle body studs, whatever, it's always SAE. It's very rarely metric, and hence why we brought that instead of the metric. Now, truth be told, I would have liked to have had the metric, but I was like, well, I don't need to spend that money. And then when these are on big deal and tool of the day after Wiha revealed this was tool of the day. I don't remember that price off the top of my head, but I can tell you that these suckers came in at $24.99 at this point in time. I think they were a little cheaper than that on tool of the day. So the part number from Wiha is going to be 66980. It is their 9-piece color-coded metric ball-end Hex L-Key set. Kind of a mouthful, right? But right there again, 9 pieces. They are long arm for optimum reach. Again, you can get a good feel of that. Anything that doesn't really fit in the frame there, has got some length to it. It's high alloy tool steel. They're hardened. Now, I do have other Wiha Hex Keys. They have held up decent so far. I try to alternate them with the Veras. A lot of times I wind up using the Veras because it sort of pads, like my knuckles. That's where I wound up kind of holding them, or where it digs in. These are precision machined for an exact fit. Your sizes are going to be right here on the end. Now, what I do actually, oddly enough, use a lot is the 1.5 and the 2, the smallest ones. And the reason for that, so many of the late model LED headlights, if they have an adjustment ring to make them universal, where you have to dial in your own beam pattern, which is, for me, always required type of a deal, that's typically the 2 sizes you use. Anytime you're dealing with a screw or a fastener that small, super paranoid. They always send you an L-Key. Every kit, whatever the brand, whatever the price point, I've always been given an L-Key. But it's typically Chinesium junk, and Chinesium junk Hex Key with a Chinesium junk set screw, that's not a good combination. And that's where it's nice to have something a little bit better quality. I've actually bought a few of the screws just to have in the event that they round out, which I assume they will. But back to the merits of the case here. 1.52, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and the big daddy will be the 10 millimeter. Right here on the backside, these are made in Germany. This is not Vietnamese, this is 100% made in Germany. Chrome vanadium tool steel, and then you can work at angles up to 25 degrees thanks to the ball end, which the ball end will exclusively be on the long side, not your short end. You would use that kind of more for leverage. 20% longer keys for harder to reach areas. They're always the right key in the right place with the compact holder. The required key width can quickly be found thanks to the color coding, which that is pretty sweet. And the durable plastic holder with size callouts to organize and secure them. And again, right there you can kind of see what the ball end's merits are. So let's drop this thing out. And again, it's not quite as impressive. You got another 4 hex keys strapped in there. But here we are. We're going again 1.5 all the way to 10. It's sort of called out in red. And you know, again, that's typically how Wiha is going to color code things. If it's red, it's metric or generic. If it's yellow, it's SAE or fractional. Okay, so right here I have to say, just from a contrast point, again, inch, yellow, metric, and red. The yellow is of course more vibrant than red. It's a brighter, you know, lighter color, so the contrast, the visibility is that much better. Case in point here on the back side, you can definitely see this. It's just, it's easier to see the yellow font. So with that said, let's come in and let's grab the big tin, shall we? You can see where it came out of the case, there is no signs of wear and tear. This has a nice textured feel to it. I'm trying to think if I would describe it as plasti dip. It's almost a little bit more gritty than plasti dip would be. It's got a polished end. It's a very nice machine finish right there. Again, this would be kind of our, if we were trying to get extra leverage, we'd be, you know, generating in this direction. If we're just rapid driving something in, I always use the ball end for that. There's a really good look at that ball end, which they do a fantastic job with these. Again, I do attempt to alternate them. These have not seen, I think I've used them once, which I haven't had very long. But what I do use is the black ones that I bought a while back. I intended to put those in a toolbox, but I've actually kept them out so I could use them. And let me go ahead and jump into those for you real quick. This was like a package deal. You get the, again, yellow SAE and the red metric. They're the same thing, but again, comparatively speaking, when you look at the price point, you might balk at it. But when they said they're 20% longer, there you go. This is the exact same set. Again, the big one being 3/8. This is 3/8. Note the size difference between them. Plus, if you drop this, it's way more difficult since they're black. This has always been one of the banes of my existence. That's why I loved what Vera did with their color-coded sleeves. If you're like me, you got the Craftsman set or whatever, you know, Husky, Cobalt, whatever you might have wound up with as a kid from your parents, if you were fortunate enough to be given that gift, or you bought it for yourself early on. You got like a pouch like this, but there was no plastic organizer. Oh no, it's just like, we've got, you know, 60 L-Keys in here for you. Good luck finding the size you need, kid. And that sucked. This mitigates that. Now, what I want to showcase to you, if you'll recall from one of the Wiha tool hauls, I brought in this ErgoStar holder. Told you I had some plans for it. Well, Autobahn Dan saw that video. He ordered some up. He kind of showcased it on Instagram. But essentially, right here, this would be the metric equivalent. You know, the black L-Keys you see over there. And you're like, well, there's no L-Keys in that, buddy. Well, that's because I put them here. In this one. And as you can see with the ErgoStar holder, the other thing, the issue with this type of a design is honestly that, you know, like if we needed the 3 right here, is, you know, you got to flip these out of the way, get the backside clear. ErgoStar holder takes care of that. I'll eventually release a standalone on that. It just hasn't been a high priority because we've had so much other cool stuff going down. So we'll leave these there. It's a nice, got the nice aesthetic going on the workbench there. So what I want to go to now, this is something I brought in. Oh, I remember why. I had a wicked splinter right here in my traffic finger top side at work. I was uncrating something. Didn't have T25 fasteners this time. And one of the sheets of plywood or the crate, I'm not exactly sure which. I'm thinking the crate because it was pretty long and dark. It had aged quite a bit. But I mean, I just got like a wicked splinter. And of course it broke off, and then I still had a good chunk coming down. In fact, it actually hurt for like 3 or 4 days. Like anytime that tapped something, it was tender. Still kind of is actually. Not as bad though. But bottom line, what happened, I was at work, right? You know, and I have peroxide and everything there. We did not have a pair of tweezers. So it was just kind of like stuck there, you know, and it was like super close, but I couldn't like grip it with my fingernails. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. I need this thing out of me. Luckily, you know, somebody had some in a makeup bag or something I got to borrow in these hard times, right? But it made me think, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get some, keep them in my desk in the office if this happens next time, which I'm sure it will. Frequently get splinters. This one was just like really bad. I guess like it got like a soft spot up here or something. I don't know. But it sucked. And so that night when this was tool of the day, I got home, I treated myself to these suckers. So these right here, I'm honestly pretty impressed with these. These might be staying here, and I might be moving this pair to work. So this is something I bought a long time ago. These are Knipex tweezers. I think they actually cost a little bit more than these Wiha ones. These are also ESD, which is an added perk. But this is the pair I picked out, and primarily for two reasons, one of them being they were in stock. But the price point on these suckers, $25.79. Again, these aren't cheap tweezers, but they're freaking nice. Both of these, actually. The part number will be 44520. Again, I always have links, timestamps, prices, everything down below. Let's go ahead and open these suckers up, which again, I love Wiha's blister packs because if you have fingernails, or someone you know does, you can typically get into these, and I don't have fingernails, and there's no hot chicks waiting around in the background, or are there? You don't know these things because you're not here, but if there was one right now, I think she would have helped me. So, you know what? Let's do it this way. This is probably not the tool for the job. In fact, I know it isn't, but I want to give it a go, see how it handles this. Okay, well, the Stavilo pliers pulled it apart, but not in the manner in which we wanted it to be pulled apart. So, by the powers vested in me by the Wisconsin Department of Motor Vehicles, this was something I could do if I had a right thumb really easy. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Packaging on these, again, it really is nice because most of you will have a functional right thumb and have an easier time with this. But this is the ESD safe blunt point tweezers, and they are 10-inch. I guess that's for ohms, actually, my apologies. But let's come in 10-inch tweezers. That would be something, wouldn't it? You can see the part number right there. Wiha 40 SAE ESD. And these are covered with some little surgical tubing type of stuff. And for good reason. I want you to pay careful attention. I've already used these, by the way. It's, like I told you, sometimes I can't help myself. These have a great tip on them. I mean, really good. And the serrations there, I actually find that they're a little bit more aggressive than the Knipex, and I would love to have these at work for removing splinters from my hand, but I think I'm going to take the Knipex down there. So let's get a quick side-by-side for you. These are roughly the same shape. Now, I do like the black finish a little bit better. The matte finish on the Wihas is better, but I want you to pay attention. These aren't, the Knipex are not smooth. It looks like they are. That's just a really, really fine tooth. Again, on the Wiha, there's way fewer teeth, and they're just a bit more aggressive. That profile there with the Wiha, you can really pick up on that, and the Knipex still look flat. This is a killer pair of tweezers, and it has won me over. Again, I've used them once, I'm not going to lie. It's not like I've used them a million times or anything. But just the grab performance of those and the fact that they're ESD, I'll use that for electronics and all sorts of stuff. And I think I'm going to take these to work and put them in my desk drawer. And then I don't have to have one of the secretaries bail me out for a splinter. So everyone's happy, right? Moving on from that point, you know, it's been a while since we bought a screwdriver. Have you noticed? Have you been proud of me? Have you been disappointed? Let me know your thoughts. Won't hurt my feelings one way or another. And this right here, this is not a screwdriver, but it's kind of like one, right? So, this is from Gedore. It is their part number 620. It is a bit adapter. That long number right up at the top, we'll find it for you on KC Tools. 620 should get it as well. You might have to scroll down a little bit. Ow, thumb. Again, I'll just use the index finger, and what this sucker is exactly what you think it would be. You got the 1/4-inch hex bit on this side, and you got quarter drive on the other. So if we come in here, I don't have that on the bench because I was using it somewhere. Again, if we take this, which is a that one's dirty, we'll grab the number 2 Vera bit. We will set that down in there like so. This is what we have now. I think this might be made in Taiwan, which I'm not going to lie, is kind of disappointing. But it's a pretty quality piece. You can see the retention ring there kind of does its job. And then of course we can pair that with a quarter drive, and you've kind of created like a ratcheting screwdriver. So pretty happy with that. The price point on this thing, $4.89. I figured, why not give it a go? That would also pair beautifully with the bit of thanks that we got with this order. Again, this is a number 2 Philo, and we also exceeded the $100 threshold and netted ourselves another German sticker tool pack. So stickers $100 or more, and then the bit of thanks is free. You could even literally just buy that for $4. Get your bit of thanks to pair with it. So moving on. Now, while that was not a screwdriver, this is. That's right. If you were excited, if you're like, wait, he's right, you haven't had a screwdriver in a while. Well, now we do. And, this one is from Hazet, and you're thinking, oh, big bucks. And you're right, $15.92 is kind of steep for this sucker. It is a number 2 Phillips, as you should expect. And I gotta tell you, this looks nothing like the product image. And this is one of those cases where I'm okay with that because it's better. It's way better in my opinion. Part number for this guy would be 801NK-PH2. If any of you Hazet super fans know what that is. Dun, 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 dun. There she blows. It is their stubby. Now this, it has inklings of like their super cheap line with the plastic handle, but it also looks way more similar to their Hexanimic or Hexmanic. I don't remember how to pronounce it now, but I actually really like that screwdriver, and this feels good. It's got a nice texture to it. The ball end, you've got a hanging hole, relatively stubby shaft. Again, we will eventually be doing the stubby shootout. I just kind of throw these in as desired, as needed. But I gotta say, this does not look like the image. This is what I got. I ain't gonna complain because I think it's an upgrade. So on that front, we are down to the final item. I think I've got like 8 or so minutes on this card, so we got to make this fairly snappy. Luckily for myself and for you, we won't have to fumble around with packaging because I've already taken care of it. Now, KC Tool, this was a big item, relatively speaking. It came in its own box, and they just put all this other stuff inside that box. What I have here is from the big deal, okay? This was a big deal for me. If you recall recently, I've done some stuff where I was kind of bringing in some different T-handles, right? I think this being the most recent. And the reason for that, it's quite simple. I wanted to see which ones I like better. There are some wicked cool dual drive L-Keys, okay? Particularly from Stavilla, Gedore, and Hazet, okay? They look amazing. I want to try them. The problem is, A, they're incredibly expensive, and B, and this is a bigger deal for me, they don't do the fractions. Oh no, and screw you, America. You know, get caught up with the rest of the world, buddy. We're not even going to make your special dual drive L-Keys. And that to me is super disappointing, because if they did, I would have already bought a set and then we would have tried another one out. I'm thinking of making like a kind of sleazy set of the metric ones where I can just try all of them. But that's kind of what I was doing here, is seeing which of these handle styles I like. I gotta say, this Philo, it looks simple, but it's super comfortable. Let's get these out of the way, because that's paved a nice segue for us into this. And what is this, you ask? I hope my gloves didn't stain it. They didn't. It's right here. If you paid close attention to me earlier, I told you with Wiha, red, right, is going to be metric, and yellow, it's going to be SAE. Well, since the other manufacturers don't really seem to care about us old school Americans, our fractional fans, right? They do metric only. Now, Wiha does have the same sets, albeit in metric, same design, red handle, same stand. You've seen this stand in my Wiha tool haul. Didn't have the cool nifty label, but let's take a look at this thing, okay? We go from 1/8 all the way to 3/8. We got a 5/16 quarters, 7/32, 3/16, 5/32, and 9/64. Again, these big three are typically what I'm going to use like for oil galleries, water pump stuff, you know, and then this other smaller stuff comes in handy from time to time. But it's almost like I'm going to use 1/8, 5/32 more common than you would think, 3/16, and then the big three. So for your viewing convenience, we're going to select the big one, and this again will be 3/8. Check this thing out. This is the dual drive, okay? We've got a hanging hole on this side if you want to go that route. The length call out there, 200 millimeters. So again, this is not a dinky little toy. This is a pretty solid concept. They all feature a ball end, as you can see there in my glove. And then we've of course kind of got like our classic finish here, which again, if we're trying to break something free with leverage using the handle, that's the way we would do it. But picture, if you will, one of these L-keys sitting here, and then we mold the handle over. That's essentially what these dual drive L-keys are. They also, spoiler alert, make them for torque stuff. And those are pretty sweet too. Now right here, and no info at all, no logo, nothing on that side. It sounds like the storm's coming, so I'm speeding this up a bit. 3/8 by 200 millimeters, that's our size. We got Wiha. I don't understand why this one doesn't say anything. I could have sworn these said made in Germany. Okay, what? Save me 5/16. Prove to the people I'm not insane. So, right there, the Wiha logo, you got 5/16. Spin this one around, it says comfort grip and it has the number. So 334.39. All of these do actually, except for the Big Daddy 3/8 size. So, I'm not sure what's up with that, but to prove my point, we'll come in, grab this one. There's the comfort grip. That would be the standalone part number. Again, like if you lost this, if you sheared this size off, if you use quarter all the time and you love this and you want another one, that's how you would handle it. So that's probably a text about an imminent storm. So I should probably get out of here, but right there, if it would ever focus, there you go, 1/8 by 150. Let's compare this really quick. The price point on this set, $54.99. Usually this is close to $100. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my yellow one here, which is the 3/8, and we're gonna hold it up against this guy right here. Now obviously they've got to do a little bit of dancing around to make them that long, but you can see the 200 millimeter, you can see these side by side, so you are getting a considerable extra bit of length here. Case in point, since we have them handy, we're gonna grab this one, a standard traditional sized L-key set, and we will put it in place as well. I love the black and yellow contrast in terms of you getting to see this easily for video purposes. Look at that. So there's our dual drive, which, you know, it's about the same length, maybe just a tad. It's roughly the same as our fancy colored one, but then look how much shorter that standard L-key is, right? It's pretty cool stuff. Now, as I mentioned, we are rapidly running out of time, both before the storm hits. I got screwed out of showering last night, had to wait forever because the lightning was terrible. I don't want that to happen to me again. I'm going to try to get inside. That's what I brought in. This was the tool haul number 41 from KC Tool. I'm pretty happy with it. So to recap, we added these metric ones, which I gotta say, they're tempting on Big Deal, but you know, I didn't really, it's not something I have to have or would use a ton. With it on the Big Deal and Tool of the Day, that's a stupid goodbye. I didn't want to pass it up. I feel like it's something I would regret eventually, you know, when I wear out the other metric L-keys or something. Because again, you got to remember, an L-key, a hex key, that is a wear item. It's not like something that's designed to last an eternity. Good ones will last a lot longer than bad ones, but it's a deal where it's not like a forever tool necessarily. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But I have always wanted these dual drive T-handle style hex keys. I have them. I will use the snot out of these. They are my only padded T-handle ones. We're going to go to town with them. Getting them for $55 is absurdly good deal in my opinion, because again, I know how frequently I will be using these. Possibly as soon as when the motor comes back. There's probably some plugs I'm going to need to take out. Vacuum caps crack, plugs don't. Superior finish. That's the way we're going to go. We also, back here, not to be forgotten, my little friends, we got that Gedore bit holder, and we got this sweet Hazet Stubby, which I gotta say, that's a fantastic color scheme on that sucker. Just the contrast between sort of their teal and the black always catches my eye. So, bit adapter, stubby, because you know, we haven't been buying enough screwdrivers. We've got the colored hex keys here in metric size. Those are just there for good measure. We've got this epic, I mean, this is the nicest pair of tweezers I've ever seen. These are good. I could probably find a Knipex with a slightly more aggressive serration, kind of like that one. But again, I've had good luck with these. I'm gonna replace them. These are going to go to work to take care of me. These are going to stay here because I think they're a better all-around pair for what I'd be doing in the shop. And that's my decision. I'm sticking to it. But that's about it. So we cashed in on the Wiha big deal. We cashed in on the tool of the day plus the big deal. And we got some cool other things to throw in the mix. So I do hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. What do you think of this stuff? What have you used? What are you intrigued by? What are you going to go out and pick up again once more? Timestamps with links and prices all down below for your convenience. I get nothing from that. It's literally there so you can quickly reference it. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. Last but not least, if you're unaware, Ram Revival Automotive Content, where you get to see me use some of this stuff. Actually use the tools that you see us bring in. If that interests you at all, if you're into second-gen Rams or automotive repair content, guy to the point of cussing a vehicle, whatever. Well, we got a little bit of everything over there, so check it out. Usually release those Wednesdays at 9. Again, it's going to be a pretty long process, but we're doing some super cool stuff with it. I think you'll enjoy it. That said, this card's about to max out, so I will let you go. I do hope you've enjoyed. Didn't finish my other one, but I'm going to get this Dizzy in the box, get it inside, to take to the machine shop tomorrow at lunch or afternoon break, and progress with that. So I do hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. If you ring the bell and jump your charger across the creek, this might notify you when we have new videos.